The first video I made on my channel was about not having friends. And I made that video because I felt like I had moved into the next period of my life, and I noticed I didn't really have friends. And I saw a lot of people online making similar videos, and I hope to make a video what could shed new light upon that. And 2 years has passed since I've made that video, and I've thought about it even more. At the time, I believe the reason why I felt like I didn't have any friends was quite simple. It was down to the fact that I was shifting into a different realm of my life. The groups of friends I had, we were no longer viable together because one group of friends I had, they wanted to stay the same. They wanted to stay in the drama. They didn't want to leave the village I came from. They didn't want to progress in a manner I wanted to progress, and that's fine. And there was hard feelings created by them, not by me. By leaving, by trying to progress and trying to travel and trying to better myself, they made an enemy out of me. And it wasn't a two-way thing. I didn't feel that for them. I didn't feel that I wasn't forcing them to progress. I'd be happy still being friends with them, and I continued to be me. There were other groups where they were progressing, but because I wasn't part of the group, or because I wasn't progressing. So in a way, I was kind of like my village set of friends. They were progressing in another field, and I didn't really want to progress in that field. And they also, again, they sort of turned me into an enemy. So when I look back now, and I think this is what I was talking about in my first video, I see that it's not necessary that people don't like me now. It's not. This is what I felt when I grew up. I felt when I was in that sweet spot of 24, 25, 26, and I didn't really have friends around me anymore. I felt like it was me versus them. It was me against the world. That if you progress, if you go for success, if you change in any way, that you are going to attract, people will turn into haters. And that wasn't true, because so even now I don't really have anybody you could class as a quote unquote friend, in the sense, in that sort of maybe that teenage sort of way where we're texting all the time, we're meeting up, we're doing things. And I think a lot of that is life. But do I have acquaintances? Yes. Do I have people what I feel admire me? Yes. So I think a lot of people, when they make videos and they talk about not having friends, I think they actually try and take the stance of that maybe I'm the unique one, maybe I'm the special one, and everybody else who is no longer around or doesn't want to be my friend, maybe they're in the wrong. And I took that stance. It's always, I was the black sheep of my family. I was the one in my village who wanted to go out. And when you take that role upon yourself and you want to do things differently and you want to be yourself, you attract this negativity. And through that, it's very easy to call yourself the underdog. It's very easy to then actually get confidence through that. And it's very easy to become a completely different animal and become as bad as them. The hate they're giving you, the lack of passion they're giving you, the lack of validation they're giving you, it's very easy to then go through life and then think, okay, just by being me, people aren't going to want to be my friend, and you shut yourself off. But there is another flip side to that, which is something what I was alluding to in my first video, that I've always been a person who is, I'm not saying these things to make myself unique. It's more that when I strive to be myself, it makes me stand out. And I think that people are making these videos about not having friends, it's not because people hate them. People do admire them and they do have acquaintances in their life. It's because they've gone so far up the river, if you want to quote Heart of Darkness. They've gone, when I found myself chasing all the things I wanted to do, traveling, I got into a serious relationship, still am in a serious relationship, sort of got new ideas in life. The place I was from was very stifling, both creatively, and people had their opinions on things what didn't change, whether that be immigration, race, religion. And as I was reading more, and as I was traveling more, I was understanding the world a lot more. And then I'll go back to my hometown, and I just wouldn't fit there. I just wouldn't fit the views. And I wouldn't actively challenge people. I wouldn't go against people if somebody had a different view to me. I didn't see them as any lesser than me. I maybe saw them as a little bit more closed-minded, but I was able to get into the reason why. And it is maybe in that fraction what I'm talking about there, where they maybe feel that way around me. They maybe feel that I'm judging them. And it is hard not to judge people when you felt like you've learned something, you have changed. And that's what a lot of these people making these videos, I think, maybe will realize or are starting to realize, is that when you do change and when you do become yourself, it's very important that you don't become arrogant, and it's very important that you also challenge your beliefs. But it's a bit like Cinema Paradiso. Don't let nostalgia kill you. Like, I would go back to my home village, visiting it, hoping to try and get the same love I once got. Because when I was like them, and we were hanging out, and we were having such a cool time together, I didn't see a world outside the world I was in. I didn't see this world of travel, this world of books. It felt like this was it, and the respect and the love I got from my old friends was enough for me. But then when I started changing overnight, and I left and I came back, and I wasn't able to get that love back, I spent so many years trapped in that bubble of trying to make it work. I tried things like starting projects in the area, what would bring my new views to them, and they just didn't fit, and it put me in this awkward thing where I was then again in conflict. So the thing I learned is there really is no way back for me. I mean, I used to, it gets in your head through anxiety that these people are hoping you fall flat, or they're hoping you have your 5 minutes of success and then you come back. And I used to be obsessed and maybe paranoid that I felt people were thinking that. But I don't think that's actually true. I don't actually think that's the case. Maybe unconsciously they do feel that. I certainly do think they have a belief about what I think. But in the age I'm at now, I realize that I can only go forward. And it doesn't matter what these people feel or think, and that I have outgrown them. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I think people are very lucky when they're able to keep friends or keep a friend all through their life. I think if you do have a friend who has been with you through success and been through with failure, I think you're extremely lucky. I've been really lucky in relationships, romantically, and I think that sort of outweighed my unluckiness maybe in friendship. But in saying that, I've had some amazing friendships, and I've had friendships what have ended at the right time. If you go back to when I used to play football, my football group, the people I was around, we ended on a high note, and we all left, and that is that was that. And I can look back on that time quite blissfully, and I can look back on that time and enjoy that golden period. And then there's been times where, as I've got older, I've tried to attach myself to more complicated friends, perhaps people with more issues, because I myself, I felt, was broken, and so I gravitated towards people that were like me, because I liked the idea of understanding them, and I liked how they were outsiders and they were breaking the world what I was also trying to break. But when I look at those relationships, they were problematic from the beginning. I've been friends with people I didn't like from the very beginning, but then because we went to the same college or we're in the same area, we started this relationship, went on for 5 years. And through those 5 years, they were kind of unhappy. And it kind of then blows up in your face through an ultimate betrayal. And you kind of take the victim, but it's, you know, when you look back, it was like, I was also part of the problem. I was feeding that toxic relationship. So now I maybe perhaps I have to admit, close myself off to people. I'm very wary of people, and I get enough love and companionship out my relationship. But of course, we know that as a guy, and if you're a woman as well, if you're a woman, you're going to need the support of another woman. And if you're a guy, it is also good for you to hang around with other guys. And I feel like I have enough acquaintances, enough people what I wouldn't say we are friends in the traditional sense, but I would say we have friendly feelings and we can talk about things, and I can get that sort of brotherhood companionship, maybe not as much as I once could, but it still does exist in my life. And it can exist in strangers when I'm just at the gym and I just nod to another guy or something, or there's this mutual sort of understanding. And I also think when you do become an adult, the friendship does change. I see a lot of people still hang around their friendship groups, and they're about 30 and they all dress the same and they all look the same, and that's fine. But I also see how stifling that can be for them, and I can see how they're not letting each other grow or change or have an opinion. They are kind of stuck in this group. So when I think about, would I rather be myself and have lesser friends, or have no friends, or still be stuck in a group where the ideologies are quite offensive, or we all have to look the same, and if we don't, if one of us achieves something, it's not celebrated? The answer, of course, I'd rather have no friends than be in that group. So I find just living my life as and just going through and doing the things I want to do, I find that enough. So to sort of contradict that first video I made, I generally don't think as you get older you need friends. And I'm not saying friendship is a gorgeous thing. It is a beautiful thing. It is the one of the reasons why we live. It is to communicate and have friends. I do have those moments. I do meet strangers. It sounds like I'm trying to convince myself here, but when you do get older and you do become, as I feel I've becoming so relaxed in myself that I actually don't even feel like I need to make these videos anymore. Like I used to want to have a YouTube channel, make content what was raw and original because I had something to say. And I still feel I have things to say, and there's so much I wish I could articulate and talk about. And the things what in my personal life, what I talk about to my girlfriend, I think are things people need to hear. But I also, I just don't need it as much. I don't need people to know what I think. I don't need people to see me as the voice of the voiceless, or trying to give something, because I am very sort of content in myself. Is there room for a friend? Of course, I would love to meet in this next phase of life that adult friend. And I feel like I have met those people while traveling. I met a really cool guy. I was in Istanbul, and my girlfriend took me along to an activity what I wasn't really too into, mainly because, well, that's beside the point. But it was a like an eating activity, and I have to admit, I think in my older age, I am a little bit more prickly and maybe defensive. I don't necessarily put myself out unless I really feel a connection with somebody. I sort of put some feelers out to feel if the person is going to understand and be on my same wavelength. So he was just sort of asking me sort of in a small talk way. So he's putting himself out there, which takes courage. And he was sort of asking, are you looking forward to the coffee later? And I said to him, oh, I quit coffee. And usually that can go a very boring small talk way. But he was interested in this idea of not having coffee, and we had a really cool discussion about it. And I felt like, oh, this guy is another person who's living, he's out there trying to get more life. He's open to new concepts. He's wanting to have friendship. And I started speaking to him again later in the day in a deep way. And I felt we were able to sort of fulfill something. And we were just knocking like stereotypes and boundaries down about each other's life. And it turned out, so I was due to go to Hungary a day after I got back from Turkey. And he was also in Hungary. So it was one of those things which is just, a miracle, and one of those bizarre things that happen when you do travel or when you do put yourself out there, or just the bizarre nature of life. And I met him in Hungary. We had a great time. We had some amazing adventures. And then he was in Barcelona. He was staying there for a month working, and he invited me out, and I went there, and we had this mad day where we stayed up 24 hours, and we went to Andorra, which is a little country. And because he lives in America, that friendship isn't really there anymore. But if he was somebody who lived in my own neighborhood, my own block, that would have been a good enough adult friendship to have. And he was around my age, and he had been through some of the same relationship issues, etc. So I do think it is also about that. It is about you got to find the right person, because when you do get older, it's no longer you're allowed to make the friends you want to make. Whoever makes you happy in life, whatever sort of people you want in your circle, you are allowed to create that now. And that's what a lot of people, I feel, also don't understand. That, just to conclude this sort of video, that when you are, I wouldn't say I'm fully formed now, far off, but when you do get older, you do ground, hopefully. I feel most of us do, at least. I'm not talking about pressures of your life, but you do ground yourself, and you do become a more whole and authentic, perhaps, person. I hope. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking, sometimes I look around people my own age and they haven't reached that spot yet. But when you do reach that, you then have to understand that you are doing things what you want to do. You're your own man, woman, and it is up to you what you want to do. So I don't feel there should be this big pressure on having friends the same way as there shouldn't be a big pressure on having a relationship, because I think it is about the quality of friends you have. You also have to understand that when you get busy and you do get some success, it does get a lot harder to have friends. Okay, I hope this video has been interesting. I'm doing sort of longer videos inside, maybe leaning towards podcasts. I don't know, we'll see. Delving more into the topics, and I'm doing my shorter, more sort of artistic videos outside. Might even start doing some shorts. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so thanks for listening. Enjoy yourselves, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekends. Ciao.